Namaskar. Hello and welcome to PGurus channel. We apologize for the slight delay. JVC Sreeram is joining us to update us about the latest in the Waqf board's attempt to grab land in the form of trying to get an entire village. And now the DNK government has walked back some of the properties, but not all, I believe. And there are many other things to be considered. To update us with the latest, here is JVC Sreeram. JVC, Namaskaram and welcome to PGurus channel, sir.
Namaskaram, sir. It's my pleasure.
Sir, go ahead and update our viewers as to where things are right now.
The update that we have is from the time we broadcasted it in PGurus channel. If
Yes.
I'm right, I think we broadcasted it on Tuesday morning.
Yes.
And before that, there have been media articles which have been coming in Dinamalar, Commune, and various other magazines.
Right.
And what happened was we had taken advice from few of the lead political leaders, as I mentioned. I can mention the name also. Tamil Nadu BJP President Mr. Annamalai had been advising us in the sense he said we need to go through the factual data. And number two, I'm very, very grateful to, we are very, very grateful to M.R. Venkatesh, the lawyer who said he is willing to fight this case on a pro bono basis for the dharmic truth. So we started having discussions. At the same time, there was a lot of media pressure. In fact, it was the media which made a lot of difference. And there was also a protest planned today morning by around 8 a.m. at Thiruchendurai. There was a protest which was planned. And meanwhile, there were a lot of meetings which had taken place, and people across the political spectrum. When I say people across the political spectrum, which also includes people who support DMK, probably even some of the DMK local level leaders, were also of the opinion that what the Waqf was trying to do is completely illegal. Let me use the word itself, illegal. But the point is, there is certain facts which we need to look at, which we'll come to it little later. Yesterday afternoon by 3 p.m., the local government authorities had initiated a peace meeting, a meeting between the various villagers and also the revenue department officials. Even before that, I came to know through certain sources that as a result of which they may backtrack. This information I received by around 1:30 p.m. yesterday afternoon. Between that, I think one of the key things which we need to look at was the national television, CNN, IBN, decided to pick up this story. And they've already started contacting Mr. Rajagopal, who has been one of a victim as far as his property was the one which was first not able to get registered. And they had also spoken to the local leaders at Trichy. And then there was a massive debate which they had planned by 7 p.m. yesterday evening. So by that time, this particular news item has drawn the eyeballs of not only people of Tamil Nadu, but the entire nation. We saw tweets being shared and retweeted, hundreds and thousands of times. In fact, my first tweet, which I tweeted on Saturday night, had gone completely viral. And your show also, which we had at PGurus, also went viral. And by that time, we were concluding the debate. The RDO of Srirangam came out on the news channel and said the sub-registrar has not consulted his senior officials, has made a grave mistake, as a result of which, starting tomorrow, which is today morning, the villagers of Thiruchendurai and the adjoining one, Kalakurchi, both of them, people belonging to those, both of them can actually start registering their properties, can buy, can sell. So this is a massive victory.
I think he meant victory.
First step is visited the temple. Yeah, visited the temple, performed the prayers and puja, and visited some of the houses there, including mine, and then made a clear statement that you cannot play around with Hindus' properties, because I think what he was communicating was very clear. The temple had been built in the 9th century. The The Chandrasekhara Swami temple has been built in the 9th century. It is a Padalpetra Kshetram, which means the sages, only around 274 or odd temples, Shiva temples, get at that Padalpetra Kshetram, and it is one among them. And all the other facts have been placed at the disposal, as a result of which, in fact, I would also like to quote at this point of time that the RDO mentioned yesterday, a very important point, that the Waqf does not have any evidence or proof to say that the land belongs to them. There is a 389 acres of land belongs to them. In fact, that is what was the point which I made yesterday in the debate, saying that what is the proof, what is the evidence that they have. In fact, even in your show on which we recorded on Sunday, I had mentioned the same thing, saying that former Chief Secretary, former Home Secretary are coming from, Mr. T.V. Venkatraman belongs to that village. In fact, my own property, my own house was registered in 1917 by Justice Seshagiri Iyer, who was a judge of Madras High Court. Now, in those times, I don't think a learned judge from Madras High Court would buy a property if there is even an iota of dispute into it. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Iyer.
No, you're right. You're right.
So when we placed all these points, I think within 3 days' time, we have been able to get a verdict in our favor. I wouldn't say that we have won the war, but we have taken the first battle, small battle, we have won. It gives us a lot of satisfaction, but at the same time, there are several more villages in Tamil Nadu, particularly in Trichy district, in Chenji, in Coimbatore, and these are all the places where the Waqf board is trying to play around. In fact, even as we speak now, I was speaking with one of the gentlemen who said his property in 1975 had been cleared by the courts that it does not belong to the Waqf board. And he has got a court notification, an order. But in spite of that, the Waqf board keeps on saying that the property belongs to them. As a result of which, it's a commercial property of his, and he is unable to get bank loan because of these kind of things. So we are only hearing stories now for the last few days after what happened at Thiruchendurai. But Thiruchendurai, a tiny little hamlet which hardly has around 2,000 families, has now grabbed the national limelight. It is now in the global news itself, I should say, because of this misadventure by the Waqf board in conveyance with the DMK government.
JVC, there are 251 line items in that particular notification of the Waqf board. Now, one now has been determined to not being correct. How did they verify the other 250 odd items also? What proof is there? So what is this mischief, and how is it that all these things happen only when the DMK is in power, sir?
Sir, I think we have to go back to the year 1995. It was in the year 1995 when the erstwhile P.V. Narasimha Rao government, when he had many leaders leaving the party like Arjun Singh, Narayan Dutt Tiwari and all those people, as a last straw in the camel's back, as they say, he, in order to win the minority vote, gave sweeping powers to the Waqf board. Now, these sweeping powers which has been given is that a dispute which arises from the Waqf board, you cannot go to High Court, you cannot go to Supreme Court, you have to go to a court appointed by Waqf board where the competent authorities, every one of them will be Muslims. The MLA will be a Muslim. The judge will be a Muslim. A scholar will be a Muslim. So they can claim a property to belong to the Waqf board, and it is upon the individual whose property he has to show that it belongs to him and not to that of the Waqf board. Now, it is somewhere in the guess that somebody comes and says that some Raja, some Prince, some Maharaja, some king, some feudal lord gifted, because the Waqf board thing does not belong to any individual. When they say a property belongs to Waqf board, it means that it belongs to Allah. And for 99 years, they can give only for lease. Now, these draconian laws have been framed in 1995 by the Narasimha Rao government in order to win the minority votes. I think it is high time, probably Shri Narendra Modi's government will have to really look into it and look at correcting this historic blunder which had taken place probably 27 years ago.
Well, it's about time. Some of these are just nonsensical, and it's a very arbitrary from the way this is framed. I went through a tweet thread, and viewers, it is available on many people have retweeted this about the Waqf.
Even I had retweeted it.
Yeah.
Even I had retweeted the same. Yeah.
So take a look at it. Sreeram's handle is at Sreeram JVC. Is that correct, sir?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Popularly known as 𝙒𝙖𝙦𝙤.
Also known as bullseye. So you can take a look at it to understand the sweeping powers, and this act has to go. Of course, it will not be, they'll fight it tooth and nail, but wait a minute, this is not right. And Sreeram, do you see or hear anything about Uniform Civil Code? Because if Uniform Civil Code comes, all these things become they automatically go away, isn't it?
Yeah, see, Uniform Civil Code is absolutely necessary in this country, because coming to know that a couple of years back, a Punjab High Court declared that a girl who is hardly 15 years old is eligible to get married. That was what the Punjab Court declared. From that time, I've been a big votary for Uniform Civil Code. And now that Uttarakhand and Goa have got Uniform Civil Codes, I think it is high time for the country to have the Uniform Civil Codes. And probably if at a national level, they may not be able to do it, I think several states can start doing it. And more importantly, I think across the political spectrum, there are quite a lot of people who would be willing to support it. Because I don't think, probably a few in the Congress and few in the parties like DMK and TMC may not support, or TRS may not support. But I think a lot of sane voices are there. Parties like BJD, parties like YSRCP may all support the Uniform Civil Code, is my opinion. It is my humble opinion that they will support the Uniform Civil Code.
Well, JVC, thank you so much for updating us with this information, and stay tuned, guys. We'll be back with more updates on this. Clearly, this battle has just been started. I'm sure somebody will put in PIL to have this thing quashed. We'll have to wait and see how this plays out. Clearly, the big guns are going to...
Yeah, Mr. Iyer, I think I have one... Mr. Sri Iyer, I have one thing to say. I think there are several villages which are keeping quiet in the list of properties which has been listed by Waqf Board. I don't think any of them can keep quiet. What Thiruchendurai has shown is, if people are united, even if the government is in conveyance with the certain authorities, because the ecosystem in Tamil Nadu is today such that if a party like TMMK, Tamil Nadu Muslim Munnetra Kazhagam, comes and tells a sub-registrar is going to act based on what he hears from these minority leaders. In spite of such an ecosystem, what Thiruchendurai has shown is that if people are united, you can win this battle. We are still a majority Hindu nation. Let people not forget it. The parties will be afraid moment they come to know that Hindus will unite beyond caste, community and social groups. And that is what Thiruchendurai has shown to the political powers in Tamil Nadu. The same is what we expect in every district and in every village. And I should personally thank you, Mr. Sri Iyer and PGurus, for the kind of coverage that you had given for this particular episode. And we are extremely grateful for you, and we are extremely grateful to the viewers across the global diaspora. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, JVC, for your kind words. And viewers, please like, share and subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to click on the bell button for notifications. JVC has done extraordinary amounts of work to put together all the facts. I have given one factual video also that is also done well, because you can clearly see black and white what you are looking at, especially when they don't even submit the proof and somehow try to railroad it down the road. That is not acceptable. And this may not be an isolated incident. I believe this was mostly to do with Trichy, but you'll start seeing the same kind of things happening in other districts of Tamil Nadu, perhaps other districts in other states also. Thank you very much, JVC. Namaskar.
Namaskar. Thank you.